Kia Concept EV2 First Look, Shrunken EV with even smaller price, but huge style. Will America get this hot little electric SUV? Probably not, but it'd sure be cheap. Look, there's no getting around it, small cars and the US market tend not to mix. That goes doubly for, say, small electric vehicles, which carry the extra cost burden of a battery pack. Small cars tend to be cheap, after all, so more expensive versions end up competing with larger cars on price. They usually lose those battles. Count how many new generation Fiat 500e hatchbacks you've seen lately, we'll wait. So it's highly unlikely we'll ever see Kia's new EV2 in America, even though it'd surely give the aforementioned Fiat, Mini's new electric coupe, and even Volvo's EX30 a run for their money here. Shown in concept form in Spain, a place where it's definitely going on sale, along with the rest of Europe, the four-door EV2 is more spacious and usefully shaped than the two-door Fiat 500e and electric Mini Cooper. It's also taller, enough so it convincingly comes across as a small SUV. Most credit goes to the black plastic bumper and fender cladding, but the boxy roofline and tall greenhouse help, too. In fact, the EV2's bulldog stance rather closely resembles the new Volvo EX30's upright, pugnacious look. You must be this tall to be handsome. Kia has gone in its own direction, style-wise, with the baseline elements within the EV2's shape, though. The headlights are thin, vertical slashes with smaller running lamps closer to the vehicle's centerline looking for all the world like nose piercings. There are also more prominent openings in the EV2's face than on the smooth snoot EX30, particularly a series of horizontal openings that resemble conventional internal combustion vehicles' grills. Around back, Kia designers blended the taillights into the trailing edges of each rear fender, leaving the majority of the EV2's but a smooth, body color panel. The lower bodywork is covered in black plastic punctuated by silvery, metal look trim. Again, this is where most of the EV2's ruggedness begins and ends. But the contrast of the body armor helps the EV2's painted surfaces pop and helps show off the sheet metal's clean surfacing. As ever, Kia has fitted the EV2 with wild-looking, geometrical design, in this case a quadrant of square spokes forming an X around a central, square hub with Kia's newest logo. In size, the EV2 concept is barely smaller than Volvo's new EX30, another B-segment, subcompact electric SUV. At 159.8 inches long, 70.9 inches wide, and 62 inches tall, the Kia is about 6 inches shorter and 1.5 inches narrower than the Volvo, but it's about 1 inch taller, and its 101-inch wheelbase is only 3.3 inches stubbier. That means the EV2's interior seems roomier than the external dimensions suggest. And it's even more so given the surely show car exclusive sliding front and rear bench seats with impossibly thin cushions and backrests. But oh, what an interior! Another show car flourish we expect to be ditched before the EV2 goes on sale? The clamshell side doors, whose yawning opening, again, visually overestimate the small SUV's cabin spaciousness somewhat. We weren't allowed to sit inside the EV2, but standing next to it, there seems to be only slightly less room in the rear seat than in the one-size-up Kia EV3. Of course, there is way less space in the trunk, which appears to have the depth of a carry-on suitcase. It'd surely be even smaller if the EV2 had a second electric motor for the rear axle. As it sits, the EV2 is front-wheel drive with a single motor up front, and a battery of unspecified capacity, delivering yet-to-be-specified driving range, underneath the floor. Like the larger, compact EV4, it'll rely on a 400-volt electrical architecture rather than the faster-charging 800-volt setup in larger Kia EVs. But Kia insists a number of clever interior features will make the leap to showrooms when the EV2 goes on sale, namely the various storage bins that slide out from beneath the seats and the front seats that can slide all the way back until they hit the rear seats, whose lower cushions can be flipped vertically to make even more room, creating a sort of lounge atmosphere, again, assuming no legs and/or people are present in the rear seats, a useful configuration for passing time luxuriously while waiting for the EV2 to charge at a public station. Removable speakers also seem entirely feasible for production. Other brands have pulled off similar tricks, as does the console-free front floor area. It's an EV, no need for a transmission tunnel. Kia's designers appear to have carved a maximum amount of cabin volume from the EV2's footprint, and far from making the interior style boring, this practicality elevates the look. The contrast color dashboard pad, for example, extends subtly onto each front door, visually widening the space, while the simple surfaces and integration of most buttons into the thin trim shelf running widthwise across the dashboard lend it an upscale vibe. Squint, and it isn't hard to imagine Kia's dual 12.3-inch screens, sandwiching a 5-inch climate control display, found in its other production cars, replacing the slightly more concept car-like units on the dashboard, too. That Salvador Dali melting steering wheel, on the other hand? You can probably forget it. Where do we go from here? Before you get too excited by the EV2, let's face some hard realities. While Kia claims this electric SUV will go on sale in Europe for roughly €30,000, or about $31,000, it probably wouldn't be able to drag the cost down so low here in America. Trade instabilities, along with the wavering $7,500 EV tax credit, which an imported EV2 couldn't qualify for, anyway, outside of a lease, would put extreme pressures on such a low price claim. It's not impossible, and the EV2 utilizes Kia's EGMP architecture spread across its entire EV lineup, a scale that surely helps keep the lid on component pricing. And such a price would ensure the Kia undercuts the Fiat, Mini, and Volvo, but consider that Hyundai already sells a slightly larger B-segment electric SUV, the Kona, here, and its pricing starts nearly $10,000 higher. The upcoming EV4 sedan, which is larger than the EV2, is targeted to come in around $37,000. As ever, small cars have small price windows, and the EV2 would be squeezed by the EV4 and EV3 SUV, which is expected to come to America, likely in 2026, both of which would be rolling excuses to spend a little more to pass on the tiny EV2. Sales of the Fiat 500e should be a clear enough warning to Kia that Americans aren't huge fans of relatively expensive small cars, meaning subcompacts priced in mid-size sedan territory. Kia's own CEO also says he's hoping the company can make the case to customers for all of its EVs with a cost of ownership angle. As he sees it, sure, an EV4 costs more than a similar Kia K4 with a gas engine, but the upfront price differences are only a few $1,000s, and the EV4 will ultimately cost far less to own and run. Surely the EV2 will also win out on similar cost of ownership metrics against, say, Kia's own gas-fed Soul hatchback. But when the Soul is so much less expensive to buy up front, such nuanced analysis will probably be lost on MSRP-conscious customers shopping in that affordable space. For now, Kia has made no plans to bring the EV2 to America, and it's promising only that it'll be available in Europe, and soon.